you so much, Miss Robbie. Caroline Knopp, production assistant extraordinaire. Are we rolling?
We're rolling.
Hot diggity. I am Tara Bassett. You are with Take It From Tara on this glorious Monday afternoon where liquid sunshine is falling all over Kentuckiana. Temperatures have raised a little bit up, you know, so we're not going to complain about the cold, just
not
the
at
wet.
all.
It's kind of like a typical day in Ireland, so don't complain. Ireland's the most beautiful place in the world. So I have a really, really special show lined up for you. You can see because the beverages have arrived with Mr. Paul Toole of Ballatin.
Raising your spirits.
Raising the spirits of all those who imbibe, and I'm sure that these people will, the one who's behind the camera most certainly, because she is an expert at Ballatin. She knows as much about Ballatin as you do.
She does.
Which
What
is,
drinking can do.
yeah. So, and I actually have a little Gene Rayburn microphone for you here, Caroline, so if you want to pop in at any time, you feel free. Okay.
Awesome.
I don't like to miss hearing things that you say. Yeah, because you're very important. When Caroline talks, we all listen.
Absolutely.
Right? Robbie Bartlett needs no introduction, so I just won't even bother. We'll just skip on over her to Paul Sant. I call you Louisville's songbird. How about that?
You're sweet.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. And she's a huge animal lover, which I love about her more than anything. Paul Sant is the executive chef at the Omni.
At Bob's, at the Omni.
At Bob's at the Omni.
Yep,
Why not
that's
just take the whole hotel?
Yeah, someone else has got
How many
control.
options do we have?
Just the one right now.
Well, there you go. So he's the executive chef at the Omni. As I was saying, Gary Fox, of course, in charge of Apron, which is we call it the organization that helps servers who are in the weeds. Definitely a big help, and you guys have been doing good for a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
My
really.
pleasure.
Give him a clap, chef.
So happy
And
to
then
be
behind the come on up here for a second. Just show your smiling little face. There's Caroline. Yeah, there she is, Caroline Knopp. Simply PR, simply the most extraordinary PR representative in Louisville. We appreciate you.
Oh boy.
Simply, simply, simply. So anyway, we are here at this beautiful Olmsted. One of the most gorgeous venues. You sing here all the time. You're here for events all the time. You're probably serving ballots in here all the time.
Yeah, we love
And I'm
being
sure
here.
that the other two folks have been here as well. So what I would like to do, just basically to start it off, is talk about the person that we are all here to honor. And I'm going to just let you start. Give me that eagle eye. Give me that stank eye, Robbie Bartlett. Dino, as he is known to all of us who knew and cared and loved his food and loved him. Dean Corbett, there's going to be an event called the Tribute to Corbett's, right? The total
Taste of
titles.
Corbett's.
Taste of Corbett's.
Taste of Corbett's.
Taste of Corbett's. Thank you. This is a tribute to Corbett's, and that will be the Taste of Corbett's. So just reflect on him for a minute. Hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah, every time I saw him, he's big smile, come up, grab me, hug me, you know, and when he looked you in the eye, he says, "How were you?" He meant that, you know, he meant
Good.
it. And we talked for a bit, and then, of course, he would trace off someone else he's hugging all around, and he wanted me to work at his restaurant, one of his restaurants. And he made me feel very welcome, very welcome. I'm like, "Do you need anything from me?" You know, first day there, I'm like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" Had never walked in the restaurant.
Wow.
And he said, "Do what you do."
There you go.
I said, "Okay."
That's all it took.
And I relaxed finally.
Yeah, that homey kind of feeling. You always
Yes.
felt like you were walking into somebody's,
Yes.
own kitchen.
Yeah, after that, everything was good, and he was happy with it. So,
And he loved you.
Bless
God,
his
he
heart.
loved your voice. He
He
talked
did.
about you all the time. Yep, see?
and he always wanted to sing with me.
I was going to ask if he sang.
How successful was that?
Whatever
Don't
Dino
say
wanted.
anything. Exactly.
Whatever Dino wanted, Dino got.
I love it. Chef, you had quite an experience working with the man for a number of years and learned a lot from him, as I know he learned from you. So talk to me about just reflect a little bit on your experience with Chef Corbett.
Now, just super respectful of the kitchen associates. Was willing to do anything for any person that worked directly for him, and even if they didn't work for him, he was just a gentleman. He really was. I mean, from lending $1 out of his own pocket to making sure that they were doing the task the way it should have been done. I mean, and he would trust us with his name at Corbett's. I mean, and he'd be at Equus tonight, and we'd be at Corbett's this evening, and obviously we'd both be busy, and he couldn't be in two places at once, so he would trust us with his name.
Right.
And that was a big deal. I mean, to
Yes.
be able to give that much respect or trust to a bunch of cooks that, you know, hopefully did the right thing for him. It was pretty cool that he was so understanding, so generous, so genuinely generous with his name and his kitchen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, he was
Paul.
amazing. Yeah, so I feel like I probably knew Dean the least. I mean, going back a few years, I got to know him, you know, a little better the last.
Yeah, but if you knew him
last
for
couple
5
years.
minutes, then
Well,
you knew
that's
him, right?
true.
Yeah.
That's true. But he always had a great generous spirit. So we sort of knew Dean, Lisa, and I, my wife, just as customers of the restaurant, you know, and then I do remember the first time that I had a thing with Ballatin that I wanted to have sort of a private room. We had some folks coming in and look at the brand and all this stuff. So they had that great back room at Equus, and
Yes.
I sought Dean out and said, "Hey, we, you know, like to come, you know, use your back room." I mean, it was, you know, it was like you say, Robbie. It was, you know, he didn't know me from hole in the head at that point. And he's like, "Yeah, come on in. We'll do this. We'll set you up some appetizers." But the first, the sort of humanity that Dean always expressed. Lisa and I were coming to just sit at the bar Jack's, and this has been a couple years ago. Might have even been pre-Ballatin. And, you know, we knew Dean enough just to say hello, like everybody does, kind of a celebrity in town.
Sure.
And so we pull in, you know, Equus and Jack's there on sort of the Lulu side, and he is helping an elderly lady into her car, and then he's folding up the wheelchair and, you know, putting it in the trunk. And so we just noticed that. We sat at the bar, and he came in a few minutes later and said, "Hey, Dean, how you doing? Was that your folks, or, you know?"
No,
"Oh,
just a
no,
customer."
that was just Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You know,
Yeah.
they come on Wednesdays, and I was just helping
so
them get
like
back."
you.
I know, right? And Lisa and I were just, now that is the best, you know, that is the best. So that really, you know, touched us in that moment. You know, a lot of us are going through that where, you know, we have kids on one end and
Parents on the
aging
other.
parents on the other.
Yep.
So that was really, really special. And then he did, you know, I'm sure we'll talk about it further, but he's done some stuff since then, you know, with Ballatin and everything, just very generously, and, you know, just the way he does things, you know.
And for those of you who have been living in a cave and are wondering why we were referring to this gentleman in the past tense, it's because he left us this last year, much to our chagrin and heartbreak. And Gary, you had a long and illustrious friendship with Dean Corbett. So talk to us a little bit about his life and his passing.
Well, I wish it had been longer. It was 11 years that I knew him. I was working at a restaurant near Corbett's out in the East End, and he kept coming in as they were building Corbett's, and I got to know him. And the minute the restaurant closed, he asked me to come work for him.
Isn't that interesting?
And I thought, well, all right, because I really didn't know him well.
Okay.
And I had just moved to Louisville, and he just embraced me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that he made the first day he took me around to every single person in the restaurant, and it's sort of like a country club anyway. Equus is.
Yes.
And introduced me to every single person and
There's
told
that
me who they
personal-
were and
It's
what they did.
Personal touch, yeah.
You know, and over the years, we just became great friends. I got to travel around the country with him to different food festivals and things, and I got to watch what he does for Louisville, or did for Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which wasn't only feeding them and being pleasant to them at the restaurant,
Right.
it was doing the great work for all of the charities.
Right.
I know a few years ago he got the Man of the Year, Person of the Year award from Catholic Charities, just for everything he does. He raised millions for Bourbon and Bow Ties in Norton's Children's Hospital, and for Gilda's Club, and for March of Dimes.
Yeah, he never said
and
no.
for Salvation Army, and he was certainly part of the beginning of Apron. He wrote us our first incorporation check, or our
Wow.
corporation check.
That's
'cause when
amazing.
we had no money. So his heart was just it was just bigger than anybody's I've ever met, except maybe my father.
That's a great comparison, you know?
But-
I mean, when you admire someone that much, to compare him to your dad, pretty good.
I told my father was in the restaurant business also, and I told him, you're the only person I know that reminds me of my father, that does what my father did, who puts the people first, not the company first.
Right.
Because you know the company will flourish if you take care of the people.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my highest compliment too. Somebody reminds me of my parents there in Mike Flynn.
Exactly.
Gary mentioned bourbon and bow ties, chef, and you and I were talking before the show about wanting to make sure that we got something about bourbon and bow ties on. So go ahead and just talk to us a little bit about it.
This is year 10. I mean, it doesn't get bigger than this for us. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Big
And,
anniversary.
yeah, it is. It's a big anniversary, and what started off with a handful of chefs, and I believe last year we had. I mean, the group photo was so big. I think it was a wide lens shot versus just on a doorstep, but it was huge. And it's funny because last year's picture, Dino was to my far left, and I was standing next to the new chef from the Army at the time. And just as the picture was about to get taken, this arm reaches through the crowd, pulls me over, and there's a silly smile on my face, and I don't know if I'm off center, but Dino was a superstar. But yeah, he's Bourbon and Bow Ties will definitely go on this year, and I'm going to scurry around the room at this event coming up and give my phone number and business card and make
Yes.
sure that we invite all the chefs from this event to be part of Bourbon and Bow Ties. I mean, it's a huge deal. It really is.
Yeah.
And we've got some Travis is with us from Louisville, and we've got Anne from the hospital. So we've got a couple
Excellent.
of people that are already on board, pushing it forward. So looking forward to keep on going with it. Yeah.
What time of year is the bourbon and bow ties?
June.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this Taste of Corbett's is coming up in
Yeah.
2 weekends.
Yes.
Not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, right?
Wednesday.
It's on a Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday. I'm sorry. That's right. That was the one that was in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
What an odd time.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Hump day.
It's also the day after his birthday.
Yes.
Makes perfect
yeah.
sense. Well, and everybody's so busy on the weekends right now, so this is a great opportunity to reach into the middle. Yeah. Isn't that a problem to have too many events?
Right.
You must be
Yeah.
exhausted, sir.
It's busy, but I mean, no more than anybody else. I don't like it when somebody says, "Yeah, boy, it's real busy. I'll see if I can squeeze you in." We're all
Oh,
busy.
yeah, right.
Everybody's busy, right?
You know what they
So-
say when you want something done, give it to a
give it
busy
to the
person.
busy.
Exactly.
Right.
They usually say, "Give it to the busiest
Give it to the
lady
busiest
you
person."
see." Woman. That's really how
I
stuff
think
gets
Caroline
done.
would fit into
Yeah,
that.
that's,
You get stuff done.
That's how things get done. But I did want to sort of Gary and Paul both touched on this. Just I think Dean was obviously a great chef, but just he had hospitality
Yes.
in his DNA, and I think anybody, anybody that's in the front of the house or the back of the house, if they don't have a deep-seated desire to provide warm hospitality, then you're not going to make it in the restaurant business.
Right.
That's at the core of it. That's what we do, and at Dean's core, that's what he did better than any. I don't know that Dean was the best chef in town, but he was a guy that lived the hospitality ethos. If you weren't comfortable in his house, then he was very uncomfortable about it. So, I mean, I think to me, that's what made Dean so spectacular. He was a great chef and all that, but he, you were going to be comfortable in his house.
Exactly. I love that. So, Caroline, you look fabulous. I wish that you were on camera with us.
Me? Oh,
You.
great. Background.
Hi there. Well, if you want to pop in here, I'd love to hear your story of how you knew Dean too.
Oh,
Come behind me here.
well,
Come behind me here.
I-
Let me just give you this.
I knew Dean, but I got to really know Dean via Ellen when Ellen got sick.
Yeah.
So Dean and I became really close. The camaraderie in the hospital. What's that nurse doing? What are they not doing? Caroline, you call me if some. Okay, let's go have a drink. Okay, so it was really a special friendship what I got to watch with Ellen and Dean, as Gary knows, and Paul as well, because Ellen's one of my best friends,
Yes.
and I just love that he was so good to her. He was so good to her, and I valued that every day. So I knew I was going to be good to him because he loved her so much. So I loved him.
That's awesome.
And I just think he was a great man, and leaving 3 sons behind, and they're so young, and the wife, I just, this is a really great event.
Yeah.
It's really special, and he was a special man, and it just happened, poof, like that.
Yeah.
So it's,
Shocking.
we all got to just keep on loving who we're with and who we know. And I don't want to be preachy or anything, but you know, it just it's hard sometimes. You know,
you had a near-death experience of your own not too long ago.
Well, you know, that was kind of scary, but I'm okay. I'm good.
And that's
I'm
why
good.
you're so good at loving the person that you're with.
Yeah, and then I had Ellen there, you know. So anyway, so that Dean and I became really close over the last 3.5 years via Ellen Gill McCarty.
I love that.
So that was my
love
story.
that. Good
And then he did a
story.
couple dinners with Valentin.
We
at
did.
Mesa.
I want to hear a little Buffalo Springfield next time. Happy I was together and sings.
Yeah.
Love the one you're
There you
with.
go.
Oh yeah.
Sing it,
okay.
Caroline.
Love the one you're with.
Yeah, there we go. She's got it. The singing wench saves the day once again. So did you want to mix some of that for these three thirsty people, and maybe
Yeah.
Caroline and our
So
friend
you-
who's sitting over here?
Yeah.
Hey, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Nice to
She
see you.
is the busy woman that makes everything happen that I
She
was
is the
referring
one that you have to
right?
ask for. So while you're mixing
this
that,
is going to be noisy.
I'm
so
gonna,
it's,
you go
it's
ahead. I'm
good
going to
for
say
us.
hi to some folks who are watching. Ellen Elizabeth Jones is watching. She says Bob's is delicious.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Adriana Blair, Russ Lemons is watching. Warren Nash, Tracy Sprouse. Ellen loves the work Apron does.
Thank you.
Looking great, Caroline. Glenda Adkins, who is one of our great homeless outreach advocates in town. Tracy Sprouse says, love Dino. David Lang, Chaz Rowe, Tina Powell, Marsha Moss, Sarah Gray, Larry Schweitzer. Glad to have all of you guys tuned in with us. You guys know some of these names, I'm sure, because they've worked in, Tina Powell has worked in the restaurant industry for a long time. Judy Warren, hey, glad that you're tuned in today. Kip Wilson, David and Janet Hedrick, Roy Mullins, Mickey Price, keep on coming. You guys can share this live cast as we are doing it, and that will help to bring more people on board so that they can see this wonderful story, because we're talking about what's coming up soon. Today's the tribute to Dino, but coming up on Wednesday next, not this coming, but the next week, is Taste of Corbett's, which will be a really cool honor to be a part of. So take it away.
Take a
Mr.
breath. I'm
Mr.
just going to
Toole.
shake this a little bit.
Shake it up,
so
baby.
So these are kind of Valentine themed recipe. You know, love is in the air. You know, Chef Dean,
Love
all
the one
about
you're
that.
with.
Love the one you're with,
Yeah.
right? So, and Valentine's Day coming right up. My Valentine's right over there.
Aw, that's so nice.
So this
I love
first
that.
one is called. Don't y'all. It won't work. So don't y'all just give me a bunch of kudos. It won't work. So this is called a French kiss, right? So it's a little bit of the original chocolate, a little bit of our friend from Copper and Kings, this distillate orange,
Love that.
and a little bit of bitters. I got to shake. This is
Shake
not
it.
radio friendly, but we're gonna do this anyway.
I think it sounds pretty cool. Shake your booty, shake your booty, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I went back to the
Pass-
70s.
Can
We're trying to compete with Robbie and Caroline. This is not working
I know,
out
that's
so
a-
well
that's
for
a
the
tough-
rest of us. I'm
that's a
telling you.
tough pool.
He's got me beat.
Oh my God, Killing Me
Caroline,
Softly
Lisa, y'all wanna
is
try?
Robbie's, absolute signature
Give a little bit to
song. I
Care.
love
So
that.
this is the
Okay, there you
French
go,
kiss,
Caroline.
right?
All right, so this is called French Kiss,
Yeah.
and what are you
So
putting in it?
So it's got the original chocolate, a little bit of this orange distillate, which is a Copper and Kings, like an orange Cointreau kind
Yeah.
of a liqueur,
Yeah.
and then a little bit of bitters. So just you would serve this up almost like a twist on a martini,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah.
All right,
What
you
are
guys
we thinking?
gonna
We
you
ready?
guys gonna do a taste of Dino?
Yeah,
To
to
Little
Dino.
tribute.
Great
There
idea.
you go.
Dino.
Cheers. Can't wait to hear the response.
It's not a Bud Light, but he'd have approved of this.
He would approve.
He'd have been okay with it.
He loved Bud
It's
Light.
not
What was
Bud
with
Light,
that?
but yeah.
What was with
I
that?
don't know.
What
just-
was the origin of the Bud Light?
That's all he drank?
Oh my goodness. We drank.
Except he would, at the end of the night, we would go around and pick up half Bud Light bottles all over the restaurant.
Because he'd open it,
Yes,
take a
he would-
sip, and put it down.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I was saying earlier before you
Everybody
got
thought
here.
he was having a drink with just them.
Exactly.
It was one
That's it.
swallow.
That's it.
Throw it down.
But I was saying before you got here that I thought the perfect drink as a tribute to Dean would be a Ballantyne Boilermaker.
Oh, exactly.
You know, Ballantyne
Right.
would
Yeah,
just drop into
it
the
right
Bud
into the
Light.
Bud Light. I mean, and that's kind of Dean. I mean, you know, he's got the bar. You know, he could have been drinking Pappy 23 if he wanted to, but you
Exactly.
know, he's just
Bud Light.
drinking his Bud
Exactly.
Light.
There we go.
The only other thing I ever saw him drink was really high-end wines.
Bud.
Or or that. Good.
So, Robbie, talk to me a little bit about the kind of music that that you really, obviously, Gary, you want to hand it back in?
Pass them back.
I think Paul's going to kill yours if you don't want it.
Yeah, no, we
No, our
drink the whole
singing
time.
wench is going to pick up. Yeah, she's very good at doing
We have
that.
two more where that came.
She served us, delicious August moon food for the Lunar New Year celebration of the Asia Institute Crane House. So she carries on her tradition of supplying food and beverages to all of the Take It From Tara guests. Thank you. And Caroline's responsible for you guys being here today, so I really appreciate her. Everything she does is just meticulous, and we appreciate that. Talk to us about the kind of music that you're going to be singing at this wonderful event, Taste of Corbett's, because it's all the stuff that people obviously love to hear you sing. But what in particular do you want to talk about?
I'm going to start out jazz.
Awesome.
Dino loves jazz.
Yes.
I love jazz. Who doesn't love jazz?
I love jazz.
And it just is soothing. It makes people just move around the room effortlessly, not worried about anything, just hearing the music. Not necessarily just listening to my voice, it's just music.
Yep.
Just makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
Jazz music makes you comfortable. It does me anyway, right?
Yeah,
Help me out,
absolutely.
Jeff.
No
Really?
doubt, no doubt.
It makes you hungry and thirsty too.
That
does.
too.
So you feel like you're in that environment.
Exactly.
Those wonderful.
Yeah,
Exactly.
makes you have fun. And then as the evening progresses, things get picked up a little
Yes.
bit.
And I'll have to do, of course, Killing Me Softly.
Yes.
But probably old R&B.
I love it.
Nice.
Lil
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Ray. Oh, really?
Why not?
What did you say?
Okay,
I
that's
just want her to sing R-E-S-P-E-C-T, a little Aretha.
Oh, wow, yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She kills it all.
Did y'all see that last night when they did the
kills it all.
tribute? Did
Yeah.
you see the
It was
tribute?
very
Yeah,
short.
yeah.
Was it
Too
short?
short?
It was too short.
Yeah.
But think about it. I mean, all the women on the Grammys are spectacular.
Yeah.
But you can't give Aretha enough time.
They gave her very little time.
When she dies, we're going to have celebrations all over the city for music. We're going to all be singing her praises.
Not dying yet.
But she's not going anywhere soon.
Hold that thought.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But when I do,
You'll live forever, baby.
you know it.
But
Plus his drinks.
yes, exactly. Just keep pouring that ballot down her. We'll pickle her.
We got two more.
She'll just keep
There
singing.
you go. Pickle me.
Pickle me
Tickle
softly.
me softly. We thought the same thing. Tickle and pickle.
Yeah, that's not going to catch on.
No, probably not. Probably not as good. So,
Hashtag it right now.
so we've got John Ross is watching. Welcome, Vicki Petsy from the Kentucky and Lyme Disease support group. We love that. Brad Leedy is watching us from Bridgehaven. He always checks in on me, make sure that I'm actually where I'm supposed to be doing a show. I could be out doing something else, but I'm here, Brad. He does performance in whatever it's called, performance improvement in our Bridgehaven Mental Health Services. So I think he's checking me out to see if he can give me suggestions as to how to improve my performance. If I drank, Brad, it would be through the use of balancin.
That's right.
Then I have to just improve their performance with that tonight.
We'll take it.
So, Chef, talk about some of the food that's going to be at this event, Taste of Corbett's, coming up a week from Wednesday.
In speaking to the chefs participating, and because there's so many chefs participating,
60, right?
We're having 2 chefs per table. But
Wow.
nevertheless, we're all
Working on one dish.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
2 chefs working on
2
one
chefs,
dish.
one dish, yeah. Which has turned out handy. Some of the
That's a
chefs
great
coming
idea.
in, some of the chefs coming in to represent don't have kitchens in Louisville. Some of them don't have a current kitchen to work in. So
What are they going to bring their kitchen like Paul brings
yeah,
his
pretty
liquor?
close to it. Yeah, so
Good
we've paired them
Lord.
up with another chef in town.
Oh, good.
But from what I'm understanding, people are trying to tribute something off a menu that they've worked with him with, or something of that nature. So the food should be Dean Corbett. It should be. I mean, there should be a lot of his flavors, but we're also encouraging people to do whatever it is that they do. We're also going to have on the tables where our guests can add money to a little box, if you will, for their favorite chef or favorite dish. And that money will be given to the Corbett family that evening. So it'll be a tally of money in your little decanter or box on your table, but it'll also
That's a
go.
great
yeah,
idea.
yeah. So
I think one of the hardest images for me, seeing the photos of Dean's services, were his children. And I seem to remember that either one or all of them were in chefs'
all of it.
jackets.
It's a wonderful story.
Yeah, tell us that story, please.
Kimberly Thompson, who is the vice president of Universal Linen, when she heard that Dean passed, ordered the boys some chef coats. They didn't get in until the day of the funeral. She got them at like 6 in the morning. Woke up the person who does the embroidery. They did the embroidery for the boys, and she got it to the funeral right before the service started.
What a story!
You know, so the boys got to wear their little chef coats in honor of their dad. It was so special.
So beautiful.
Because they got to. It was like the lineup of chefs, because at the funeral there was a lineup
Yes.
of all the chefs in Louisville.
Yes.
I think there were 57 or 58 of them, I believe, weren't there? You know, just lined up as the casket went in. It was so touching. It was one of the most touching things I've ever seen.
What a beautiful story.
Yeah.
So thank you to that wonderful linen lady.
Yes, the linen
Kimberly.
lady.
That's
Kimberly.
pretty spectacular. I love that. That's a great story. When you come into any restaurant that Dean Corbett has created or worked at or in any way was associated with, you get that feeling of home, you get that feeling of comfort, and you know, even mediocre restaurants, you just said about, you know, the whole idea of the hospitality, even mediocre restaurants get better reviews if people feel good when they go into them. Even average food can be made into something spectacular in the minds of the patrons if they're treated with a lot of respect and a lot and enthusiasm of, oh my gosh, it's so great to see you, you know, which is kind of what he was like all the time. He always had a ready smile, a bombastic personality in some regards, especially when he had his 14th Bud Light of the night.
Indeed.
14th
sip
half
at a
Bud
time.
Light. Yeah.
14th
One
and a half.
sip, just a sip, just a 14 sips of the night. You had a long work relationship with him, Chef Sant, who is the executive chef of the Omni, as I like to say. He says of Bob's, but I'm going to just go ahead and give him credit for the whole hotel. Because he's so modest, he really is. But you had a long experience working with him. Tell me what it was like to be side by side with him in the kitchen, because not a lot of people can tell this story.
You know, there was a lot of things that Dean did which was, wow, I can't believe it was that simple to do something so well, and there wasn't that much layers behind it. It was just that simple. And then we would do things and experiment, and it was like, what just happened then? Oh my goodness.
It's a miracle.
Let's not tell anyone about it. It was, oh my goodness. But one of the most fun nights we had at Corbett's, he had a, if you will, it was a stainless steel box, and it has a marble top, and it got down to quite a few, I want to say like 100+ degrees below zero. And it didn't matter what you put on there, including alcohol, it would freeze. And it was really good to do as a amusé. When someone walked into the restaurant, you could do things to order and send them out to the guests there and then. Frozen little lollipops. So this one day
That's kind of cool.
he
Never heard of
turns this
that.
machine on, and it sits on the shelf, and I think I used to quiz him too much. So I think it was just to shut me up. He turned the damn thing on, and it just go get something. So I don't know what I wasn't pureeing that night, but it was going on this marble top, and we were turning lollipops out of everything, from pureed mango to alcohol to basil and anything, just whatever we could figure it out. Just don't put your tongue on it, for goodness sake.
Oh, Lord, no.
It was unbelievable what we put on the end of a stick and were able to eat. And it was just the silly things of that nature that stand out the most.
Where is that thing?
Yeah,
Do we have any idea?
I still believe at Corbett's. I believe so.
Bring it over for the
Yeah.
event and start
Heck
making
yeah.
some
Yeah.
bourbon
See
ball
what happens, yeah.
frozen
Wouldn't that be fun?
lollipops or something.
It was also things that had nothing to do with the kitchen that stand out the most. I was driving down towards Westport Road to go to, he had a storage area, and he would sing the craziest songs I've ever heard in my life. Do you know this song? No, I don't know this song. Well, I'm going to sing it anyway. Good for you. Sing away. Or we'd be out in Corbett's, and we'd both have backpack leaf blowers, and we'd intentionally blow each other's leaves onto the other one's side so they had more to pick up. It was just the silliest things, but what an honor to know him.
That's friendship.
He must have really liked you if he blew leaves with you.
Exactly.
I'll tell you, whenever you saw Dean at Equus with a leaf blower, you knew never to talk to him because that was his moment of zen. That was where he concentrated, and nobody ever talked to him when he was blowing his leaves.
He not only shared a kitchen with him, he let him leaf blow with him. That's pretty cool.
I'm impressed.
That is really cool. I love that. So Gary, when you went to work with Chef Dean Corbett, about whom we are speaking at this very moment, Taste of Corbett's coming up a week from Wednesday, and today we're just talking about the event and all of the wonderful memories that these very close friends of Dean have. Caroline Knopp, Simply PR, is behind the camera, but she's the one who pulled this together for us, which is great. Paul Toole of Ballatin, and the woman who needs no introduction, Robbie Bartlett, Songbird of Louisville, and Paul Sant, who is executive chef of Bob's at the Omni, and Gary Fox of Apron. So we're very glad. And then Lisa, who is Paul's wife, is also visiting us today. She's holding up the cue cards, which was very nice. Just make sure that we stay on cue. Let's see. Arthur Miller says, great show. Good. That means
Yeah,
you guys are
we'll take
doing
it.
well.
Thank you,
Yo-Yo
Arthur.
Shelley Santry is watching. Matthew Glazer, Kathy Schmidt, Brenda Davidson, Debbie DeVore, one of our finest musicians in town as well. So we appreciate you guys being with us today. We're talking about this amazing event that's going to take place a week from Wednesday, and let's get into the details of the actual event. First of all, can people still attend, or have we sold out?
We have probably, what, about 125 tickets left?
125
I think
tickets
something
left.
like that.
Maybe a little less, but yes.
Yeah. It's
Tickets
gonna
are
be-
still
it's
available.
And the Olmsted has a huge capacity. So I mean, we
And they're
And it's a
tented.
tent.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
and
the
they're
outside as
tented.
well. Yeah.
So we have a
Awesome.
front area tented with the band, and Robbie's inside right when you walk in.
We need you to be
Bar
on camera.
outside.
We need you to be on camera to tell us all this
Well,
stuff.
there's just a lot going on. I mean, if you've ever been to the Taste of Independence, that's a really great event that benefits Apron that takes place in the summertime. And this is somewhat similar, but except for there's 60 chefs, 62 chefs, and they're going to be paired, as Paul said, and preparing one dish per team. And whether it's pertaining to Dean or it's not, relating to Dean, have a Dino theme like nachos or what have you. But outside you'll come in and it's all tented. There'll be a band outside, a bar, and a few of the chefs outside as well. You come in, there's a coat check, and then bar on either side. Some auctions, maybe like 2 or 3, not very many auction prizes, and then there's a live auction with Kevin Harnett as the MC and Tim Laird. So lots of action and just going to be lots of fun. And the tickets are $100.
They're $100, right?
$100.
And they're only available at tasteofcorbetts.com.
Tasteofcorbetts.com. And we probably have like 100 left.
Yes.
So we have a little bit over a week.
Right.
You know, a week and, like 9 days total. So, yeah.
What's going on over there? Looks like
We had a little broadcast interrupt us, and I'm trying to figure out why, but we're still recording, so we can continue to have this conversation. But for
Oh.
some strange reason,
Someone wanted to come in on our turf.
some strange reason we had an interrupted broadcast, and it happens sometimes in this place, and I don't know exactly why. But we'll figure it out, so don't worry about that. So Caroline, that was a really great synopsis. I
Oh.
loved it. You did a great job summarizing that for us. Continue, if you will, to talk about how we get tickets and all that kind of stuff.
So it's at Taste of Corbett.
Tasteofcorbetts.com. And it takes you to a Norton's website.
Norton Hospital?
Norton Hospital website, because that's the umbrella organization that's allowing us to be not-for-profit, right? And then you just
Okay. So lots of time to come eat and have a cocktail or two and enjoy and dance to Robbie and
lots of wonderful
Toast to
raffle
Dean.
items. Lots of wonderful raffle items.
hey, there's a big trip giveaway.